All right, guys, and let's I would like to move on to soccer here now. We spoke a little bit about the men's soccer team last week on the Big Blue breakdown here, but the men's soccer team, they are now in the Elite Eight, playing a number 11 ranked Maryland Terrapins team in Lexington on Friday. So far on the season, they are a 19-1-1, and they are 12-0 at home. So if you guys are not doing anything on a Friday night at 6 p.m., go ahead and go check out those Cats and try to cheer them on to a victory here.
Yeah, I don't know much about them, Mike, but I'm definitely excited to see them go 12-1-1. I did watch one game. They beat a highly ranked IU team, and that's looking like if we get past Maryland, that's looking to be the Final Four matchup. And from what I've seen, IU has been basically the Kentucky of soccer. So I'm excited I'm excited for our opportunity. I would love for us to get that extra championship, just to really everything to be hovering around. Because I noticed that when football does good, and when soccer does good, and heck, when cheerleading and women's basketball does good, it takes, even though it's slight, it takes just a little bit of pressure off of our men's basketball team, which I feel in the long run will allow us to be better.
Yeah, I mean, so I have to echo everything like you said. Sadly, I have not seen any of the soccer games this season, but the game is on the SEC Plus network channel. For those of you that have that, definitely tune in, or even go to the game would even be better. I'm sure they would love your support. So look, Matthew, let's go on. Let's go ahead and move on to the football side of the Cats here. Last Saturday we had a big win against the Cards. It was a blowout, as you and Chris both predicted here. And as of right now, we are predicted to play in the Outback Bowl versus Northwestern. I do believe, just it kind of depends on who you hear and who you believe. For one, do you think we deserve that bowl? And if so, what are your expectations of the bowl?
So I think we deserve a little better. And I know once you start getting to those point of the bowls, you're start nitpicking, because they all, outside of the New Year's Six, they all kind of have their own standing. I see us more in the Citrus Bowl. I look, if everything holds true to form, Bama's going to get in the playoffs. Georgia's going to get the Sugar Bowl, LSU's going to get the Fiesta Bowl, and Florida will get the Peach Bowl, which would naturally leave us up next for the Citrus Bowl. And I think we're going to get maybe a Northwestern. I noticed they did take another loss, so that may have made them less enticing. I think it's going to be more maybe a Penn State. Once again, like you said, it depends on who you ask. That's just my opinion. We've talked about it in other forums. I would love for Georgia to beat Bama and them both to get in. So then LSU would move up to the Sugar Bowl, Florida would move up to the Fiesta Bowl, and we could slide in that Peach Bowl. But I think I'm just getting a little too greedy on that. I think any of those bowls, from the Peach Bowl down to the Outback Bowl, help us out. Because it's not really as much the bowl win. I mean, obviously I know fans aren't excited about another Music City bowl win, but it's not as much about the bowl wins as it is about getting that 10th victory. Sitting at 10-3 at the end of a year is something that you can really talk to recruits about. And especially on a year where Louisville's down. Louisville did not get Jeff Brom, as we said earlier in the show. So now, if you're Mark Stoops, you're walking into any high school in the state of Kentucky and saying, come on with us. He's already shown you what he can do in Ohio. And I think he's starting to take over little parts of Indiana. I mean, he's just really – this is going to be what's going to build that depth. This is what's going to be that team, this year get us 10 wins, next year get us 10 wins, then the next year after you start seeing us really compete with the Georgia and really trying to get that SEC East title. But I think this year and next year, we talked about this last week, this year and next year are the two most important seasons, because the talent's there to win. He just has to show you he can do it. And I know everything got disappointed. We kind of expected to lose to Georgia, but that Tennessee loss really just left a bad taste. I think any bowl loss is going to leave a bad taste in our mouths, sitting at 9-4. So I'm not really trying to go out and play the biggest, baddest team I can find in the bowl. I'm trying to find a legitimate bowl that we can legitimately win and get to that 10 wins, because in 10 years, when Kentucky's a perennial powerhouse or perennial SEC East contender, nobody's going to remember that you beat UCF without their quarterback for a Peach Bowl. They're just going to remember you got one and you got 10 wins. And right now, that's what's really important to me. So I do think we deserve to be in this upper echelon. I just really hope we can go out there and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I have to agree everything you said there. Any bowl that is past Christmas time and like to January 2nd is a ideal bowl in my eye. At the end of the day, all the eyes are on you at that point. So a win in that particular postseason game and to get you to 10 wins is a win-win-win. But on the other side of that coin, you have players such as Snell and Allen saying that they might sit out this postseason game. Or like I know me and you are kind of on the opposite sides of the coin here, but how do you feel about if those players were to sit out and we do not win that game?
So obviously I'm in the minority of Kentucky fans on this because I've kind of put this filler out there for my fellow Big Blue Nation members, and it's not been received well. But the fact of the matter is, we wouldn't have been here without Benny Snell and Josh Allen. Without Benny Snell, we're not getting past Mississippi State. Without Benny Snell, we are not putting up some of the numbers we did. Terry Wilson, who's shown to have struggles at times, those struggles would have been enhanced by hundreds if you take Benny Snell out of that backfield. I like Rose. I like what he brings in a future role, but he was just the cherry on top of the delicious ice cream sundae that was Snell. Yeah. So, yes, and don't get me wrong, I would love it if they compete, and I think Snell will play because he wants that extra 103 yards to break the all-time rushing record here at Kentucky. But Josh Allen's a top 10 pick potentially, and if he stays healthy, I think he's got a great NFL career ahead of him. Now, look, obviously, if we were playing in the Georgia Dome this weekend or the Mercedes-Benz Stadium against Bama, I would want everybody there. If we got into that top four, I would want everybody there to get that national championship. But the Bows stand out like an island for their own reason. There's a reason that if Jeff Brom would have accepted that Louisville job, he would not have coached the Bowl. He would have been down here this week getting Louisville ready for next year. Certain bowl games, yes, this bowl game is important for us to get the 10 wins. Yes, this is important to set our program's trend, but it's also, it plays as 3 extra weeks of practice. It plays as a time where it's a sneak peek at what 2019 brings. And as much as I would love to see what Conrad's going to do at tight end, what Benny Snell's going to do, what Jordan Jones, Josh Allen, Chris Westry, what all those guys are going to do on that defense, I'm also going to look and see what does the 3 weeks instill for guys like A.J. Rose. Is Terry Wilson going to be able to build on this and prepare for a junior year? Lynn Bolden going into his junior year, how's he going to play? Young guys, Cash Daniel coming back. He's a senior next year. The young offensive line. Chris Oates coming in there, getting ready for what's going to be wrapping up his freshman year, preparing him for a sophomore year. There's so many things. Also, I'm looking for preparing this for the big picture. Like I said, obviously, if a national championship is at a possibility, I'm all for getting everybody out there. But these bowls, there's so many of them. I think they're up to 42 bowls.
Yeah, it is kind of ridiculous, like how many bowls they have now.
I get it, and maybe I'm just trying to be stubborn, and I don't want to believe that these are participation trophies. That I think I pretend and I convince myself that teams and players get something out of this. And there might be there might be somebody on a roster somewhere that because of this bowl game on national TV, because they're playing in the Hawaii Bowl or the Buffalo Wild Wing Bowl, that they might get drafted. But Benny Snell, from everything I've said, Benny Snell's a sturdy late second to early fourth, anywhere in between. Josh Allen's a top 10, top 15 guy. You're not going to play yourself up any better. You know what you have with Snell. You know what you have with Allen. Your main goal is to stay healthy. I want Benny to play just so he gets that. But if Derrick Rose, if AJ Rose comes in and he's able to put up 120, 150 yards rushing and that wins, let me tell you, I am more excited because guess who's going to be here next year? Number 10, AJ Rose. You know, if Chris Oates comes in because Jordan Jones wants to sit out and let his hand heal up, or Josh Allen wants to sit out and preserve his draft pick, I wish him nothing but the best. And I would love it if Chris Oates came out and had 5 sacks, or Josh Paschal came out and was able to make a big play, or that number 31 guy who's really been putting on. Guys who's going to be here in 2019 and who's going to help us take that next step. I'm always down for Benny Snell and Josh Allen being here, but they did their part. They got us here. It's time for them to pass the baton, and I truly think that's what some of these other bowls outside of the New York Six and the playoffs, I think that's what those bowls are for.
And I've been kind of going back and forth on like either side of the coin. I see your point of view as they've gotten us to this point. It is time for them to prepare for their next level in life. But I also see other kind of people's point of view saying, hey, it is a part of their quote unquote contract. It's a part of their part of their commitment to help us win this 10th game of the year to catapult the program into greatness years and beyond. And just like you, me, and Billy all kind of had a talk about this yesterday or two days ago, and I still believe that they should play in this game simply to help the college, help the football program get to the next to that next tier. And I think it is in a player's blood and a player's psyche to play that last game just to say, hey, I won this ring. I want to wear it as much as I can.
You know, I think on that, and we have this discussion, and it's a much deeper discussion than something that we can have on a show or something that you can talk about on Twitter or Facebook, because each player has to have their own discussion. And if you want to meet in the middle, because I've seen some things that you discussed that, you know, if it's the coach's decision, they have that right because it's the coach's job to coach. If coaches and players want to have a discussion and fit what fits them best, but I just think at the end of the day, you have to find out what's best for that player. Let's just take, for example, like Benny Snell. I'm just using him. I think he's 100% going to play because of the wanting to have the rushing record. But let's just say, or let's go Josh Allen because he's a senior and he's a top 10 pick. Let's say Josh Allen has everything it takes to graduate, which is the point of college. There's a student first, athlete second. He can graduate in December. So, yeah, he could sit around and play in this system and play this one extra game and risk, or maybe he sits down with his coaches and his parents and everybody, and it just seems that it's the best because as fans, we only see what's on TV. We don't see everything else. Maybe Mark Stoops says, you know what, I really got this guy behind you. I want to see what he can do against the team. Because let's be real, if we play Penn State, we don't play somebody that good until mid-season next year. You know, we start the game with Eastern Michigan. That's not Penn State. So I got this guy. Let me see what I can do. Josh Allen says, okay, I'm getting my degree in December, and I can graduate, go to California, take a loan out because I'm no longer an amateur athlete. I can go to California, work with the best for an extra month. So when the combine rolls around in March, March, I got an extra head up on everybody. My 40 time has just been shaved down a second. Me and you, Mike, we know enough sports to know that a second off of 40 time can make a man millions. So now, obviously, if you might get one where there's bad blood, where the guy says, screw, you know, Ben Simmons at LSU, the moment the season ended, he left the entire campus. Or you see coaches do it. They leave in the middle of the night and they go to a different program. Those are frowned upon. But if these guys are all having discussion and it just outright fits everybody, I think as fans, we have to accept that.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you on that side here. But let's say a team, say you and me are playing on that team, and we are, and like we have been playing with Josh Allen for 4 years, and then like all of a sudden it's like it is our final game, and he decides just to up and leave and not help us win that ring that we've all sought for. Do you kind of hold a grudge against him?
You know, I don't, because I'm only thinking this, and like, you know, when with sports, you know, it's not like you just show up and hang out on game day. No, you guys live together pretty much. You guys are around each other 24/7. You know what they're thinking before anyone else does. And typically when you see guys bail like this, and this is why I don't think you'll see it very much with Kentucky. You might see it with Josh Allen, but I think that would be it at max. Because typically when you see it is when a team comes up short of their dream. When for 10, 15 weeks of a season, a team's thinking national championship, and they end up in the Rose Bowl. Yeah. You know, then they're just like, well, I'm not wasting my time. Right or wrong, that's typically when you see that. So I think, and by that point, that whole locker room says it. You know, because you see it. You see Alabama missing the BCS championship game, having to go play a very undermanned Utah team and losing. Because the guys that don't leave don't want to be there anyway. So I think it's one of those ones where it's the climate of a locker room. Now, I say that, and I guess if I was a player, if I was a linebacker and Josh Allen just bounced and we were on the cusp of greatness and it was never talked about, I'm sure I would have some personal feelings. But once again, I don't get that right as a fan. I may claim that I get that right, but I don't. And the closest point I'll give you is one you made. If I buy a ticket, I could be a little bit more upset. But once again, you, especially at the college level where they try to scam you out of everything, you're buying a ticket for that name on the front, not the name on the back.
And, allegedly.
Right. I mean, when you go pick up a 41 jersey at the Kentucky Athletic Shop, there's no name on that back. So don't you dare go out there and expect to see Josh Allen or Benny Snell. You're there to see Kentucky. So, like I said, that's a whole other different topic for a different show. But I just think as fans, look, I'm a huge fan and I'm very passionate and I like to get mad. I like to get excited. I like to say we won the championship or we lost and I didn't do nothing. But at the end of the day, we do have to realize where we are, and we're just seeing what ESPN or the SEC network lets us see. We're not seeing the conversation Snoop and his parents, or the parents.
Yeah, and I think we're going to end the show just on that. Like I don't want to get too deep or too heated tonight on like a lot of just like on tonight. But I'm going to leave you with a final thought, a final question here. Do you think Benny Snell enters in the NFL draft this season?
It's so rare. It's so weird because he plays a weird position. So obviously, I think he's maxed out on his position. I think whatever you don't like about Benny Snell this year as an NFL player is not going to change next year. I think Benny Snell as a running back, we talk about it all the time on other shows, Mike. Le'Veon Bell and all these guys, their window is so small. They really only get that first contract and that second contract, and that's about it. I think Benny's got to go. And I wish he would come back. I would love it so much as I would come back. But the man's he's getting tons of touches, and at least let his next set of touches be coming with a paycheck. Like I said, I definitely wished he would come back, but I don't think he's ever going to be able to play his way in the first round because the people say he's not very big. He's not getting any bigger. People say he's not fast. He's not going to become a speedster all of a sudden. He's going to be one of those guys who just needs to find his – and I think it's going to be better for him. I mean, look at the NFL now, Mike. Who's guys that are struggling? Leonard Fournette. The man can't stay healthy. He went top 10.
Yep.
But then you turn around and you see a guy like Kamara and Kareem Hunt who are in great systems, and, man, are they eating. And, yeah, they had to fall to second and third round. So if he comes out and he falls to I don't really think the Saints or the the Rams or any of those teams need a running back. But if he falls to one of those teams that are really great offensive teams and he just gets to fit right in and he gets to be this year's version of Kareem Hunt or Alvin Kamara, I think that's going to be the best thing for him in his career.
Yeah, and I think I have to say the same thing. I see him entering in the draft. Like, I think he kind of already had his mind made up about that at the start of the season. Like when he said some of the comments that he said that he was the best tailback on the planet and all this other stuff. Like, I kind of figured that this was his last year in college, and he was definitely thinking about going to the pros all season. So that's just my take, and like, I really don't think he'll be back. The only way I can see he comes back is if he gets some type of, he gets injured in the postseason game. That's the only way I see him coming back for a senior year. So, guys, with all that being said here, thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday night on this Big Blue Breakdown. We'll be back next Wednesday. We'll talk some more hype about football as the as the bowl picture comes more clear. Basketball season is getting in the heat of it. We have Seton Hall coming up. We have Utah and Louisville all coming up in the next few weeks here. So be sure to join us next week as we talk some more Cats. Have a good night, guys. And welcome to Big Blue Breakdown. I am Michael Buckheiser, one of the co-hosts here of the show. I'm joined with Matthew Lyle. Matthew, how are you doing today, man?
I am doing a Big Blue wonderful evening. My love and my Kentucky teams are playing so great. Just things are looking up, and the hater in me, Louisville, just found out Louisville will not be getting Jeff Brom, and nothing makes me happier than seeing my foe be down.
Hey, and so if you guys haven't heard, Jeff Brom is staying put in Purdue. He does not want to come home to a crappy Louisville team, and I know we really couldn't be happier about that. To kind of stick it to them a little bit more. But basically, Matthew, we got a few things happening tonight here. We have our basketball team playing a Mammoth team. And what do you expect from tonight's game? Like, what are you looking to get out of tonight's game?
Well, I really expect dominance, and I'm not just saying that as a delusional Kentucky fan. This is a Monmouth team who's 0-7. They don't have anybody shooting over 35% from three. I don't even think they have anybody shooting over 30% from three. Most of their players are from 6'1" to 6'8", which I think matches up good. There's nobody tiny, there's nobody 5'9" who's going to run by us. But again, there's no 7-footers. Everybody who plays their position should outsize their man. Our point guard should be able to get to the basket with ease. Our big men should be able to rebound. The defense, they're not a good scoring team. Our defense should look crisp. The game against Tennessee State, I know we weren't an offensive powerhouse, but our offense looks like it had purpose. Each pass, it wasn't pass to a guy, that guy look around. It was pass, try to make a shot. It didn't always work out, but it was a move in the right direction. So this game, I'm really expecting to see from tip off to final buzzer. I'm really seeing dominance against a team that I know can be good take on a team that's not very good. So I definitely, you're a man that likes to talk spreads. I definitely see us, or definitely expect us to cover the spread, which I believe is 25. We should, to be honest with you, as bad as this team's looked, and with the potential that Kentucky has, we should double the spread, and we should get over 100.
Yeah, so I have to agree with everything you said there. It is a 9:00 tip off or 8:30 tip off here, so I can very well see myself snoozing off by 10 to 12 minutes into the game here, and then being up and they're up 80-30 at some point. So out of all the players that like we have talked about in the last week or two, like out of those 8 or 9 players, who do you think has the most to prove tonight? Who do you want to see just like explode and just have a crazy game?
Well, really, there's a couple people that I could go with. I'm going to go with Tyler Hero because I think if you've looked at Cal's teams historically, big men eventually learn how to play big. Athletic guys eventually learn how to score. All his players eventually learn how to play defense. But one thing that has been our Achilles heel is no one's ever really panned out to be an amazing shooter. I mean, even that Devin Booker team, I mean, he was a great shooter, but he was part of a platoon squad, so he never really got to get in full rhythm. Tyler Hero is the guy that we really need because Cal has proven in his tenure that he can make everything else happen. I just need to see a shooter form, somebody that can come in and give you 30 a night. I don't think he will give you 30 a night because of the talent that's on this team, but somebody that is capable of doing that. So I've always said it. Tyler Hero comes from a smaller school. He needed to ease his way into some of that tougher competition. This is that kind of game where the guy guarding him is either going to be smaller than him or slower than him, and Tyler Hero should be able to score much like what we saw in the Bahamas. So I really need him to come forward and have one of those 9 for 12 shooting nights.
Yeah, and I'm thinking much of the same here, but like I'm going with somebody else. I want to see Ashton Hagans have a good game. I want to see him go for 20 to 25 points with 8 or 9 assists as well. I think that he will be the starter come later this week or the next 2 weeks, and like kind of solidify his mark there by that having a great game. And just the way he likes to pass the ball, I think he'll be able to get everybody involved, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing him have a good game.
I one of the point guards need to stand up. The problem is Calipari reminds me with these point guards of a college coach in football that has all these different quarterbacks, and the moment you throw an incompletion, he's pulling you. So he likes to start quickly because quickly likes to get you points. So Hagans is already behind the 8 ball. So then when he puts Hagans in, there's already pressure on him. So Hagans feels the need to prove that I'm going to make great plays like by shooting shots and by making plays. And when he doesn't, he gets in his own mind and typically gets the team in trouble. And then Cal pulls him for a veteran in Quaddy Green. So I feel like really, and maybe tonight's that game. I feel like if you want to get something out of Hagans, you say, Hagans, I'm starting you and I'm playing you 35 minutes. If you do that, I think that's how you see the true Hagans. I think the Hagans where you put him in for 2 minutes and you take him out, then you put him in 2 minutes later, then you take him out, and then you put him in garbage time, I don't think we're ever going to get to see the true Ashton Hagans.
Yeah, he is definitely one of those players that has to start. It is a something in his head, something in his body. I feel like he just cannot come off the bench and perform to the potential that he can. He definitely has to start to get that. Maybe it's an ego stroke or something. I'm not for sure, but he is the type of player that just has to start.
And I think it's as part of the young guys coming from high school. You're often shoot. How many times Mike has me and Billy debated on the show that certain people have that mindset that starting means everything. And to me, I'm not that type of guy. It's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Hang that up.
Let me come off the bench as the 6th man, but let me be in the game when crunch time's all that matters to me. But certain players have equated that if I'm not that starting 5. I'm not good enough, and now I'm in my own head. So he absolutely seems like that. I think Nick Richards is another one of those. I wish it wasn't like that because, like I said, I'm a firm believer it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But it's starting to look more and more like Hagans is not that type.
Were you kind of referring to Carmelo there, Matt?
Yeah, well, yeah. Just I mean, he, because that's the thing. Like I'm talking to Carmelo, but Billy kind of shares those same ideas. If you've ever listened to RTF, and we've debated that if you're not starting, then you're doo doo, then you're dead to me. No, there's so many other rows that you could come in and make a huge impact. I mean, there's a reason that these guys win the Sixth Man of the Year award, and they're outscoring most of the starters. It's just something about that. Now, it's not everybody. It's not made up for everybody. Allen Iverson obviously couldn't do it. He ended up retiring. But I think there's a lot of benefit from it. And college is one of those places where, especially at Kentucky, you can really benefit if you're that type of guy. I think we talked about it last week. Reed Travis and Tyler Hero are going to end up being those kind of guys, and they're going to be better for it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel that Reed Travis is just he is a special type of player that I'm really glad that we picked up this year, and I really think he will be the leader at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. And I was a little nervous when we first got him. I thought, he's going to be one of these guys who come in here and the spotlight's too bright. John Calipari could tell Reed Travis, I need you to clean up the garbage out of the stands after the game. And I'm telling you, those would be the cleanest stands you've ever seen. Like, Reed Travis is a veteran. He just knows what it takes. He's already played his 4 years. He already knows what he wants to do with his life. And I'm pretty sure he's come to the terms that it's probably not a long NBA career. This is his version of the NBA at Kentucky. So whatever Cal says to do, Reed Travis is going to do 110% and to the best of his ability. And honestly, if everybody played like that and everybody had that mentality, we would have beat Duke by 40.
Yeah, and just hopefully all those like everything comes into fruition here very soon. But we do have another game that is coming up on Saturday. We do play UNC Greensboro on Saturday. So let's kind of talk about that game if you don't mind. We are expecting Tyler Hero to have a good game. I would like to see Ashton Agins have a good game tonight. What about Saturday's game? Do you kind of expect the same? Do you want Tyler Hero to kind of start to step up and this game tonight, that's his average game and he just keeps getting better and better and better? Or what are you seeing from Saturday's game?
Well, I mean, obviously, both the things that we mentioned, Hagens finding his role, Hero becoming an offensive nightmare, is something that's going to be very key any game of this season. But this game, I implore fans to be careful about this UNC Greensboro team. They're a solid squad. They lost, from my understanding, their only loss came by 6 points in Baton Rouge to LSU, another SEC team. They're sitting 5-1 just like we are. They got a couple of great shooters. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they have 7 upperclassmen. This is going to be a tough team. It's a team that's going to come into Rupp and give you a run for your money. Now, obviously, I think in every way, shape, or form, Kentucky is better than them. But it's one of those ones, if you're saying, you know what, they got cheap jerseys, they came from a small school, they're no good, you're going to find yourself in a battle. And it's going to be one of those ones where Rupp's not going to be sold out. There's not going to be many people there. They're going to be paying attention to their phones and Twitters, and they're going to look up, and there's going to be 4 minutes, and it's a tie ball game if you're not careful. So I just want us to – this is my complete game. We talked about it last week. I need to see a 40-minute game, and then next week, whatever we learn tonight, build on it, because that team Saturday is going to be a lot better than the team you're facing tonight.
Yeah, and just to echo like what you said here, they are 7-1, and looking at the scores – their closest win is a 15-point game. So they are blowing teams out. They are winning by 15. They even have a win of 60 points here. So it was a 105-47 game here. And if you look at their high score on each game, they have 4 different high scores in 8 games played. So they seem to be a well-balanced team. They do have 7 upperclassmen, just like what you said. So yeah, I mean, I am looking for them to have I want them to put a good 40 minutes together and show us that they are a Final Four contending team. I want them to dominate this team up and down the court on Saturday, just so we know what to expect coming forward in the month of December. Because we spoke last week, the month of December is where these freshmen start to become college players.
It is, and I mean, look, guys, we're going to probably win against UNC Greensboro by 10 or 12 or 13 points, and fans are going to, whoa, this is the team. Oh, we're not there. Cal's losing it. And then in March, you're going to see this UNC Greensboro be a 13 or a 14 or maybe even a 12 seed, and when they beat a West Virginia and where they beat a Villanova, you're going to be like, oh, they're good. Yeah. Yes, they're good, and we took them lightly. We could easily beat them by 20, 15, 20 points, 30 points if we play. But you know how it is. We're young. The fans are spoiled. It's going to be 60% capacity. People relaxing. Kentucky out there getting comfortable. Just don't panic, because don't believe what the jerseys say. This is a solid team. This is your typical Cinderella squad. You're just getting them in December. And
we are seeing that the parity in college basketball is starting to spread itself out. So like, you can't take these teams like a easy win anymore. Like, you have to show up and you have